Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, both here in New York and at all the other offices throughout the AOL community. I'm Lucy Tobias of Style Me Pretty, and I'm here with Drew Lasico and Tate Larson. And today we will be talking about the Style Me Pretty app. So we're very excited to walk you guys through it. And if you're watching remotely, please feel free to tune in and send all your questions and any comments too, please, at the hashtag StyleMePrettyPanel channel on Slack. Try to say that 5 times quick. So first things first, Tate is the president and essential CTO of Style Me Pretty.
Hi, everybody.
And husband of Abby Larson.
That's right. That's my official title.
And Tate basically has built the company from the ground up with his wife, Abby.
Yeah, it's been 8 years of a labor of love. It's been great. So it's been a lot of fun to just kind of watch Style Me Pretty grow and become part of the AOL family. And the best days are certainly ahead. So it's been quite a ride.
And you guys have some pretty cool head mics.
We do.
Really jealous.
We do.
Yeah. What was you said you looked like Suze Orman?
Suze Orsman. Is that? Did I say that right? I don't know. I was trying to think of like a televangelist.
I just wish you had
of some
chosen
kind,
someone
or
way cooler.
Someone on an infomercial. Yeah.
Like, there's probably like a million people that have worn head mics. They're like awesome.
Yeah.
You won't miss Suze Orman.
No.
No offense to Suze Orman if she's watching. Hey, thanks for tuning in.
It's basically a TED Talk, you guys.
Yeah.
And Drew Lasico is the general manager of AOL.com Alpha and has been...
AOL Alpha.
AOL Alpha.
Yeah, sorry.
And has been a huge part in helping to build and implement the Style Me Pretty app. So just to give anyone here some background and anyone watching online, on Style Me Pretty, it is the authority in weddings. We have over 11 million social followers across platforms, which is an important number because 70% of our site traffic comes through our social channels, which is more than any wedding site on the planet. So, little humble brag there. And 52% of our traffic comes through our mobile channel. So that is, I think, one of the biggest propellers, if you will, of why you guys sort of wanted to build the app. So if you guys could talk a little bit about the conception of the app and sort of how that conversation got started.
So maybe I'll start and you can.
Yeah, sure.
So we've been sort of dreaming up this idea of the app really internally and started to pitch it up the food chain to like Kirsten Kahn and Luke. And I think they saw some of our ideas, but I'm not a product person. There's really no one on my team that it really dives into visual design. So when they saw that, they said, why don't you talk to the Alpha team? And you can kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so, I'm sure a lot of you don't know what Alpha is. So we are an internal research and development and Skunkworks team that focuses in on development for mobile, but then also emerging platforms like virtual reality, voice technology, augmented reality, things like that. But we work directly together with the iBrands to help build out new technology, some things that they do. I had previously run a centralized mobile team that had built out most of the applications at the company, and we had talked 3 years ago about a Style Me Pretty app back in the day, and so we'd always been really excited about building an app for Style Me Pretty. It was one of the first AOL brands to go over 50% in traffic on mobile. It's now about 65-70%. So it made a lot of sense to do a mobile application. And when my team looks at whether we should build an application for one of our brands, we look at whether we can leverage the platforms to their fullest. So a lot of the things that we do at AOL are kind of baseline like blogs and things like that, and sometimes like, well, why the hell do we need an app for that? But we knew that we could leverage mobile technology, whether it was location, customization, kind of the speed of native applications, to really make like a truly unique experience for Style Me Pretty, and something that we felt like was differentiated in the market. So
yeah, I think one of the great things about Alpha is that we had some preliminary designs for what we were going to do for an Alpha app on our own, and they were like, no, let's hone this, let's really pull out the most core components of it, and they did a great job of really like understanding what that was and really showing it off to the user through the experience of the app. And I think one of the reasons that the app, I hope, will be really successful is at Style Me Pretty, we really are sort of a platform in the wedding space, and we're moving towards being a platform in the living space as well. But we collect about 600 or more real weddings a week are sent to us from photographers, right? So we have all of this user-generated content that we can then organize and put in front of our potential brides who are looking to consume content and get inspiration and learn more.
And how would you say the SMP app differs from other wedding apps out there?
Well, I mean, one of the things when Tate and I first started talking and pulled in my team, Mike Cosentino, who runs creative for us, and we wanted to differentiate ourselves in a lot of ways. Whenever anyone talks about building a wedding app, they think right away about building something that is a wedding planner. Which has been done 1,000 times, and there's a major player in the market already in the Knot, and we didn't want to compete directly with them. So we felt like the way that we could differentiate was to really hyper-focus on the concepts of discovery and inspiration. It's kind of like taking like Brides Magazine or anything like that, and take that to the next level, where you could then not only utilize those experiences for discovery and inspiration, but as we'll talk about, what we think is the kind of the special sauce of the app is having actionable inspiration. So when you see the pair of Manolo Blahnik shoes, which I guess now when people get married, they have to have a picture of their shoes as one of their things.
Have to, absolutely.
I didn't have that at my wedding, but I think that's maybe why it didn't work out. I didn't buy her Manolo Blahniks either. But being able to then go and see that image, being able to follow Manolo Blahnik within the experience, which we'll show you a little bit later, being able to go directly to a vendor. So if you see this beautiful wedding that is at Stonehill, at Blue Hill Stone Barns, which there's one that was up yesterday, which is friggin' gorgeous, and be able to then follow any wedding that happens at Blue Hill Stone Barns, but also be able to follow Priscilla of Boston or Provianos or wedding designers like that, and be able to get even more inspiration, be able to contact those people directly through the application or get more information about those vendors. So it's kind of taking, in a lot of ways, I think a lot of the people that ask us about this is, why is it different than Pinterest?
Yep.
And that's the main focus, is that we can then follow you and attribute you to the exact people that will get you the things that you want, that you discover within the application.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think I will say, just to add one little bit of information, we will provide you with like the image and then a gallery of images that are from that event as well. So it's nice that you have that additional context and can sort of see what fits with what, or learn more about the event, or sort of see other things that might go with that one thing that sort of caught your eye.
Definitely. And these are actually my wedding shoes. They're really beat up. But
at least you had use in them afterwards.
I know. I was like, I'm not doing no heels. No, thank you. So what has the audience's response been to the app?
It's been really good. I think it's still super early on. We really just launched, and we're sort of starting off the marketing of the app. I think that the strongest thing that we're really seeing is that the people that are engaging it and sort of understanding the functionality behind it are really diving in, are really favoriting images, are really using it to sort of start to consume and collect a lot of content.
Yeah, our hope is always, with Alpha, we like to launch things smaller and be able to utilize the data that we're getting within the application, how people are using them to improve on the experiences. We got some initial good press. What was that? Refinery 29 named us one of the top 8 apps you have to have if you're planning a wedding right now.
And InStyle?
And InStyle, we were on the front page of InStyle. Some Time blog that does some stuff about weddings. I don't remember. It was like something like that. I'm glad this is internal. But so we got some good initial press, which meant that we have enough users that give us statistically relevant data. And we're seeing that the users that, especially people that are coming in from places like Instagram, are really resonating with the experience. They're going into the galleries. They are favoriting, on average, 20 to 30 images per user, which is great. They're pinning things within the application. So it's a really good experience for them so far, and it's giving us a great a great start so that we can figure out how we're going to improve the application. We're going to have V2, which we'll tease a little bit later on. That should be coming out within the next month. And when we do that, that's when we're really going to push, the marketing behind it, and we can really start driving Style Me Pretty's existing mobile traffic over to the experience.
Great, I'm excited. Well, let's see that app.
Sure. Oh, sure. Is it the time?
Let's pull that up and show everyone sort of what that user experience looks like, and anyone who's not familiar with Style Me Pretty as a brand can sort of also get familiar with our aesthetic.
Is it going to pop up here? Oh, there it is. I'm going to apologize in advance if any weird things pop up. This is my phone. So, yeah. So the main experience, and this is where we thought, really what the Style Me Pretty user wants to do is be able to really just explore all of these incredible, beautiful galleries that we have. But if you see anything that kind of catches your eye in here, this standing mirror is perfect for fashionista selfies.
Get one of those, Drew.
Yeah, exactly. So, I can go in. Oh, I hate this guy. You can kind of swipe in and be able to see, all of the different images. We get, some of these galleries have as many as 150 images that come in from these, weddings. You can also go and get a grid view of all of the different images from the wedding. You can go into any of them, and I can favorite it. So, and I can also pin that same image if I want to. I can go and click the information button here, and what this is, it tells me all of the different vendors that are associated with any of these galleries. So if I'm looking through and I said, these, I love the floral design of that wedding, and silk and willow, I could take a few actions here. One, I can just follow them. So that way, I'll get a customized feed of anything that they post. I can also go directly to them as a vendor and get more information about who they are. I can go in and see any different galleries that have them as their vendor. I can easily click at the top and I can send them an email, or I can go directly to their website. One of the main things that we wanted to do with this experience is to have a customization layer to it. So you can see this is me. I'm getting married on March 10th, 2017. I haven't found the bride yet, so if you know anybody. But you can kind of go through, and this is a custom feed that was built just for me based on all the different people I follow. It's kind of like a Twitter feed of wedding galleries that you can go into, and you can see all the vendors that are associated with each of these galleries. Just kind of go in here and check them out. I can also go in here and see all the different pics that I love, and I can easily just send them to my friends and be like, hey, I saw this house, and check it out. I can do also search based on all the different vendors that are within the Style Me Pretty catalog. I can just look up wedding dresses. I can look in and say I want to use my current location here, and then it'll bring up different galleries and places that I can go and check out, so I can go directly to their to their feed. Also, anything that is a Little Black Book vendor within the experience, you can see that they're all tagged. I can go in there and I get more information about what the Little Black Book means, and I can go follow the Julie collection.
For anyone who also doesn't know, the Little Black Book is Style Me Pretty's approved vendor list.
That's right.
And that's the main experience as it stands for right now. This is really what we would call our MVP, our minimum viable product. We think it gets to a lot of what we think users want out of this mobile application, but we're going to be adding a lot more features into this in the next few weeks.
Tate, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that's great. Are you going to show them stickers and stuff as a round 2? Or?
Sure.
Yeah, let's take a look at the sneak peek for version 2.
Sure. So version 2, there's a few things that we really pinpointed, things we wanted to do. The main thing is that we think the special sauce here is getting users to follow these vendors, and so we're really going to be focusing in on that. Specifically, if we can get in more, image-based data as opposed to gallery-level data, and also be able to kind of push users into that experience. But one of the more fun things that we're doing is we're leveraging the new iMessage sticker packs. So we made Tate actually had a great idea where he wanted to leverage the kind of the photo booth that everybody has at their weddings now. So I can easily go in here and let's see. So I can pull up. This is the Style Me Pretty sticker pack. You can see we have a bunch of different things, eyeglasses and stuff like that. So if I wanted to send a picture of this handsome guy, and then you're like, he'd look great with a mustache.
But you already have a mustache.
Beard, but that's I don't look good enough when I go to Williamsburg. So I needed something that was way more appropriate, or I could take these like team bride picture, things like that. So we've got all kinds of good ones here. As I like to always say, let's partay. Let's throw that in there. So we think that these are kind of be a fun way of getting users more interested into the experience. It also means that we can be featured within the sticker app store, which is going to give us a little bit more growth opportunity, a little bit more viral element to it. The other thing that we integrated into here is also you can see that I've got my pics that I love. So I can easily go in here and take anything that I want and select them and share them. So like these people are too attractive. They really are. They don't seem real to me. So yeah, that's a little sneak peek of V2.
Awesome. And when is that going to be released?
The plan, hopefully, my team will hopefully not kill me if I say anything. The hope is that we can get this out by the end of November or the latest the first week of December.
Great. And on that note, I also want to sort of touch a little bit on direction for 2017. So I know, Tate, earlier we were sort of talking about what that means for Style Me Pretty from both an editorial perspective and a user perspective. And the things we sort of touched on was sort of scaling back on the regional blogs and making sure that any real weddings on the site, which as you mentioned earlier, we get over 500 wedding submissions a week. So we have brides that are like begging to come to Style Me Pretty, which I think is just a testament to the brand loyalty and passion the brides have for Style Me Pretty. And in terms of for next steps, we have the site redesign coming out. So I don't know if you want to give a little
I think
demo there.
I'll touch on the editorial, and then we can kind of keep going in a couple places. So I think, editorially, we've done a lot with Real Weddings, and I hope we can continue that, maybe not at the same scale. Maybe, sort of reducing the editorial workflow so that we could keep up the same scale. But, we also want to recognize that we need to focus on other types of content. I think that our social audience has really taught us, as it's really grown, especially on Facebook over the last 18 months, that practical content works really well too. So certainly that's something that we'll be focusing on editorially. Certainly, as a lot of other brands, a lot of video, a lot of continuing to push offsite as a big destination. I think people want the content they want, and they want to get it at the place that they want, and they want it fast. So certainly social is part of that. I think the app is part of that too. And then I think just overall directionally, if you look a little bit at the product perspective, and we can certainly look at the redesign, I think the app sort of hints a little bit about some of the overall direction of Style Me Pretty, right? You want to be personalized if you can, and you want to continue to be a platform. And we have this really interesting opportunity that I think most people in the wedding space really don't have. We have like a tremendous influx of these events that are coming into us, right? How do we take these and continue to publish them and put them in front of people so that they can, get the personalized content they want, or quickly search for the information that they really need to plan their weddings? And that, that works in weddings, but I think it also works in the living vertical as well. So While we don't have the scale of content there at this time, I think we'll be making smaller bets in the living space, trying to sort of amplify things like home tours or parties or things like that, and really sort of scale out that content as well. Because the great thing about the app, and Drew and I have talked about this in the past, is this doesn't just have to be for weddings. I think the overall user experience that we've built works really well for anything you might have to plan, anything that's somewhat complicated, anything where you would tell the story in more than just a few photos.
Yeah, I've been planning in the back of my head, Style Me Mitzvah.
I love that. I love that.
Bar bat
It's gonna be
mitzvahs that are
great.
coming up. So
Somebody go trademark that right now. I'm afraid he's gonna
yeah,
take it.
don't reserve that. Yeah.
Internal only. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I do also want to touch a little bit on the point you made, Tate, that for anyone who might not know, Style Me Pretty is not just weddings.
Yes.
And that's something that I think is a challenge for us internally as we continue to kind of drive that message home and expand from advertising or other types of content that we're growing. So I think that'd be great to sort of.
Yeah, so I think we started a living site about 3 years ago, and I think we've done a really good job of laying a foundation of a lot of evergreen content that people can come into and start to really consume. So the next sort of move for us, I think, on the living side, this sort of blocking and tackling stuff is like, let's get it better organized. Let's make sure people are really aware of it. Generally, we find when our wedding audience starts to consume the living content, they love it and they want to come back for more. I think the big challenge for us has been, how do you have a site that's been so successful in weddings and so sort of focused on that? How do you sort of peel away the onion on the front page and sort of offer people more? So, when we talk through the redesign, you can see the beginnings of that. I think we'll be slowly, working our abilities to integrate more livings and wedding stuff, and you'll see, again, I think that we make one step forward in the redesign, but there'll be probably more to come there.
Yeah,
and just, living to us, just to sort of touch on it really quick, home tours, entertaining, recipes, sometimes it's office or inspirational interviews with professionals. So that sort of rounds out, most of the content we focus on living.
And I think too, a lot of the entertaining content on living
Yeah.
is so cross-platform because
Yeah.
if you're getting married, you're going to have a bridal shower, you're going to have a bachelorette party, you're going to have, ladies' lunches throughout
Yeah.
the planning.
Certainly, and I think there's all these events in your life, right? It doesn't just begin or end with weddings, right? And so part of what living really tries to do is capture that. There's so many things for us to celebrate.
Before and after the ring.
Before and after. That's right.
So do we want to take a look at the
Sure.
site redesign?
Sure.
Geez,
So,
my password in there.
oh yeah, why don't you type?
And I think too, when you guys sort of see the site redesign, it'll sort of start to make sense that both the app and the site redesign are really working to, hone in on what those popular types of content are between home tours, baby names, entertaining content, and sort of how we're working to seamlessly integrate and showcase that type of content in a really, really uncluttered environment that's easy for the user and provides tons of value.
Yeah, so I'm going to just spend a minute on this, and most of what we've done so far is the homepage. But this is the current Style Me Pretty homepage. And one of the challenges that we have, certainly from an information architecture standpoint, I think it's a little dated. And certainly things like Style Me Pretty Living is a bit buried. You can see it here on this flag. The other really big challenge that we've had is because we're showing full posts. The homepage tends to be like more than 6,000 pixels tall. That can be really difficult when you're trying to do things like recirculation or sort of let people feel like they can get to the end of the content. This is the new redesign. We worked really, really hard, and I'll resize this after I sort of walk through some of the components, but we worked really, really hard to make sure that we could handle variable size displays, do things like get tablet right. Obviously, like with so much of our traffic going mobile, and even having an app, we really wanted to make sure that we got Style Me Pretty right on the phone, which I think we're doing a much better job in the redesign. The idea here, obviously, we've moved to more of a modular layout, and you can follow things in the app. You can also follow these things. These are elements that you could follow in the app. We're also pulling them up here, so there is some complementary content. One of the things we're trying to do, we're trying to show you the different parts of the site. Lucy mentioned the Style Me Pretty Little Black Book. This is just a quick place for you to either look at specific vendors or dive in and understand these are the categories if you're looking for vendors to plan your wedding. More content, and then more sections of the Style Me Pretty site. We're also addressing just like, obvious internal AOL things like viewability with ads, making sure we have a place for video, lots of things like that have sort of gone into the site redesign. Just really quickly, let me see if I can do this. Obviously we've worked really hard to get this right, on tablet as well as desktop. Can we pull up your phone again?
Yeah, sure.
Would you guys mind cutting over to his phone? All right. So, a lot of where we start with this is certainly also, oops. Let's go back. Let's go.
Let's go home and go back to
Let's
it.
do this. There it is. Come on, baby. I swear, it normally actually does scroll. There it is. A lot of what we did is we really started with the mobile side of things to make sure that this interface really works. One of the cool things we've been experimenting with is letting people sort of pop into the content. So this is the image that you just saw in a cropped version. You can dive into the article, or you can start to swipe through all of the images in the galleries. And obviously you can pin it if you click on the top, or you can X out of it and go back here. So some interesting, really mobile-focused functionality really for the user who I think comes to Style Me Pretty a lot from their phone, especially as we get so much of our traffic from social.
Definitely. And, I think that pretty much wraps it up unless there's anything else that you
Questions?
guys want to sort of add before we go to audience Q&A.
No, certainly if you guys have a chance to download the app, it's in the App Store. It's called Style Me Pretty Weddings.
Yeah.
And literally feel free to email me and let me know, or Tate, and like if you have any feedback or
Yeah, we'd love your
suggestions,
feedback.
Super happy to take any feedback you guys have. So yeah.
Yeah, and that goes also to anyone watching at any of the other AOL offices that are on the Slack channel.
Well, most of them. I don't.
Yeah, most of them are watching.
Townsend office. I don't want to talk to any of those.
And it's hashtag Style Me Pretty panel. And also, if anyone's getting married or recently engaged, feel free to email any one of us and give your thoughts, because we're always looking to sort of improve it and make sure that it is giving the best functionality it possibly can to brides
Yeah,
or grooms.
if you're engaged or getting married, we want to talk to you. So please reach out over email. There's always more. We want to learn from our. Did that sound sketchy?
No.
It wasn't supposed to sound
Yeah.
sketchy. We want to talk to you for all the right reasons.
Talk to me. Come see me.
I don't mean be a Drew. I mean,
Come up to my office.
okay.
And there's nothing on this card. So we're done. We'll head it over to audience Q&A. So Michelle has a mic if anyone here has any questions.
We have a question on the Slack channel
Oh,
for you
awesome.
guys. So given that weddings are usually once in a lifetime, how do you attempt app usage retention with brides and grooms after the wedding? Or what's the plan there?
Oh, I think that one's for me. So obviously, Style Me Pretty Living is our attempt, I think, to really capture someone who is not getting married, even like pre-wedding, and then also post-wedding as well. So I think one of the things I mentioned about 2017 is really kind of like the personalization aspect of Style Me Pretty. Part of that really needs to be transactional emails. So we need to know you. We need to know when you're getting married. We need to be continually reaching out and actually like recommending great content. I think that also starts to happen, and we start to show off some of our living resources right after you get married. And that could be either home stuff. It could also be a lot of content about entertaining and throwing a great party.
Yeah, the good thing is even within the application, for users that we know when your wedding date
Yeah.
is, we can actually even fundamentally shift the experience within the application to just living content.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that possibility.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Hi. So I'm in a wedding, a bridesmaid, where we have to wear gold dresses. Is there something like that where I could see groups of bridesmaids in gold dresses?
It's so funny. We have this conversation, I think, a lot. Like even the idea of if I could take a swatch of material and take a photograph of it and then utilize that as a search term, essentially, to see other things. Like you can imagine, like I found the perfect shoes, and I want to be able to find things that have kind of complementary colors for it. It's definitely something that's been in the back of our minds. We've talked about it a lot.
Right.
I think it's something that could be very useful. I'd love to hear, feedback from brides, whether or brides to be, or even just someone that wants to eventually get married. Like, is that something that you would use? Like,
Yeah, I think we're still scoping out like really what are some of the things we people want to follow. Style Me Pretty has about 20,000 real weddings that have been published over the course of the 8 years, and a lot of those are really well tagged. We have season, styles, settings, and often we have colors. So gold is one of the colors that's associated with the wedding. I don't believe we've let you follow colors yet, but that's going to be something we'll be turning on, hopefully for V2.
yeah, I mean, there's tags, but they're
Yeah.
fairly high end. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to follow pink.
Yes, so it's
And not
it's
the-
it's
not
not,
the
super
singer,
granular, not the singer, no.
Yeah, not the singer.
And gold is an interesting problem, and Drew's sort of touching on this in and of itself, because it's not just a quote unquote like RGB color. There's like a shine element to it. It's almost a texture.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe as just like a palette, if you will.
But it's a good suggestion. It's something that
Yeah.
I'd love to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We have another Slack question.
Woo.
Drew, somebody says they love hearing you talk about weddings in general, so some good feedback for you.
I have so much to talk about. I could give feedback. If you want to just hear feedback on any of the galleries, I could do that for hours.
So somebody asked, what do you mean by practical content in favor of editorial content?
Ooh, another one for me. Didn't mean to phrase it like practical instead of editorial content. I think practical versus inspirational sometimes comes out with Style Me Pretty. So a lot of our focus, and if you were dividing the world up into like social, maybe that's just a simple way to think about it, right? A lot of our inspirational content sort of works really well on like Pinterest and Instagram, right? So we can put up these really beautiful photos and videos all day long, and people are happy to consume them by themselves. When you get to Facebook, I think the audience often changes, right? So often the Facebook audience is looking for something a little meatier, more article, more knowledge, more something like, tell me how to write my vows, or give me tips about how to write my vows, something like that. So that would be something more practical, and that's really something we've seen over the last 2 years, 18 months, as that audience has really grown. Certainly there's room for inspirational content on Facebook, but I think in both the living space and the wedding space, we're smart to sort of build up this corpus of like really practical content, because there is an audience desire for it.
Any more questions?
We also have another one on the Slack channel. So I think you guys touched on this briefly, but is there a section in the app specifically on vendors? And if not, is that something you've thought about?
So there's no call to action specifically within the application that you can go directly to vendors. You can see vendors in context, which I think is really what we thought was the most beneficial thing. And so when you're discovering things, you see the context of the vendor themselves. You can find vendors within search. That's the most logical place to get that data.
Yeah.
There has been thoughts about doing a dedicated vendor, especially just saying like, I want to look at vendors around me, which could be beneficial, and then use that as a focus to see like what are the venues, what are who sells dresses around me, things like that. So that might be a direction we go in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way we're calling out vendors now. Every vendor has a portfolio on Style Me Pretty. They also have a portfolio in the app. Certainly, you can get to vendors pretty quickly, but the goal of the app, and I think this is part of Alpha's vision, and I totally thought it was awesome, was like, let's make this like flipping through a magazine, and let's inspire you first, and let's provide that actionable inspiration. Like you said, from search, you can get to all the vendors, and that might be where we leave it. It might be the kind of thing where you go, click on the search tab, type the word florists, put your area in, and there are all the florists. But there might also be sort of tweaks to that workflow where we could call them out a bit more.
All right, I think we have one more question. Oh, we're wrapping up. Same thing. All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming here in New York, and thank you so much for tuning in and sending in all your questions. And thank you guys.
Oh, thank you guys.